We have the gift in this system in Vulcan7 to be able to push a button, and the numbers are dialed automatically. I'm setting 20 appointments in one day with for sale by owners, and it went mini viral. There were thousands of people who joined me that day from all over the country. I should probably do 50 now at Vulcan7, and I'm like, could I do 50? Could I do 100? I only made 45 contacts, and I set 20 appointments. It was like crazy numbers.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Vulcan7 Coaches and Mentors, where we bring you some of the best in the industry to share with you their tips and strategies so that you can implement them in your business immediately. If you haven't caught up on our previous episodes, make sure to watch them on YouTube or listen to them on your favorite streaming platforms. Now, on today's episode, we're going to talk about some lead sources that I know a lot of you are probably very familiar with. Maybe you're not going so hard. Maybe you're struggling with them. We're going to talk about expireds and for sale by owners. So make sure that you have a pen and paper ready, because today's guest is going to be dropping some great information that you're probably going to want to implement as soon as this interview is over. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on to the screen Alma Merrill. Welcome.
Hey. How's it going?
Doing great.
I thought you were looking for the very best. I think maybe I came into the wrong room.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I know before I pressed record, you were telling me some stories about for sale by owners, and we're going to get to that. But for someone that's just tuning in, they're maybe not too familiar with you, go ahead and share with us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I kind of have an interesting background. So I was born in Utah, grew up in Southern California. I was born into kind of an interesting environment to where I didn't go to school at all. So this is an interesting part of my story, is that I didn't go to high school, didn't graduate, didn't go to junior high. I couldn't read till I was 12 years old. I couldn't spell till I was over 21 years old. And so when I came in kind of into the workforce, and I go a little bit deeper on my YouTube channel about why that is. But when I kind of came into the workforce and I was about 17 years old, I was like, man, what am I going to do? Like, I can barely read. I just learned how to read not too long ago. I can barely spell. I'm just like trying to figure my way through life because of the family circumstances. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. We all kind of have demons in our lives. We all have circumstances. Nobody's circumstance is ideal, right? And so I kind of grew up in this environment where I didn't get to have that education. I didn't get a big boost. We grew up in poverty. There were 8 kids in my family. And so when I came into the workforce, I was always trying to figure out how to get to the next level without having an education, without being guided financially. And as I got a little bit older, I was dating this gal, and she was an assistant to a real estate broker. And she's like, hey, I just got my real estate license. I think you should too. And I'm like, I can barely spell. Like, can I do real estate? Like, how am I going to do this? And so she convinced me. I went to real estate school. It was the first classroom, like real classroom environment that I had been in, was in real estate school, believe it or not. And I was freaked out. I mean, there were books, there were figures, there's numbers, there's math, there's all this stuff that I never learned. And I was like, whoa, I was like a little kid, like a fish out of water, trying to figure out like, how am I going to do this? And so I was like ill prepared for this. So I got my real estate license. I actually passed the first time when I took my real estate test. By the grace of God, I started with an amazing company out of Utah. And I was able to kind of grow up with this incredible company. And they were the number one Century 21 office in the entire world globally. And I was just very fortunate to be a part of their organization, and learned incredible business acumen from them and from my leaders. Learned it on the streets. Like they talk about being able to actually learn it while you're doing it is the best education. A textbook can only teach you so much, but when you're there on the streets, you're doing the work, you're making the calls. That's really where you learn the most. And fortunately, this company was a prospecting company. You know, they loved prospecting. They loved for sale by owners. They loved expireds. And I didn't know the difference. Like, I thought that's just what you did. And they were like, yeah, we come into the office, we get on the phones, we make these calls, we set these appointments, we go on these appointments, we list these homes, and that's how we create our business. And I'm like, okay, like, all right, I guess I could do that. Let's do that, you know? And before, in like 1997, I had this door-to-door sales thing, you know, and I learned how to kind of do some sales. But that's how I got started. And then we just started dialing, and I learned through trial and error how to set for sale by owner and expired appointments, and ultimately how to create a business out of, literally, it's thin air, right? Like you're literally just taking these leads that you don't know any of these people, and you're making these calls and creating an income. It's wild. So that's kind of my story a little bit. If anyone wants to know more, I tell more of my story on my, like I said, on my YouTube, my Instagram, that type of thing. But
Yeah, no, that's amazing because I usually love to ask my guests, what they did before real estate or kind of what their background is. And you hear everything. Some of them tell me, I used to be an attorney and I used to work in sales, or I've always been in real estate. So your story is definitely different. And it's really exciting to see because, I'm sure that you come across agents or people that want to get into real estate that maybe think, well, you know what? I don't have like a college degree or an education. Like, am I going to succeed? And
right,
obviously, yes, like there's nothing that can stop you.
that's right.
So for you, obviously, you were a part of a brokerage that was prospecting. You pretty much did what they told you. You had a lot of success. So let's get into like the prospecting part. What was it
Yes.
like when you first started? Whether it was on the phones or on the doors, were you scared? Share with us a little bit about, what you felt.
Okay, so I want to tell everybody there are some elements of when I first started that I still have today. And what I mean by that is I still get call reluctance. Okay. I'm still nervous before I hit the phones. And some people are like, what? How is that possible? I have made thousands of calls. I've made millions of dollars in real estate. But in reality, the reluctance is still there. You still don't want to talk to the person who hates realtors, right? You you just don't. But guess what? That's what makes us the big bucks. Being able to break through, get to that next level, make that money is actually worth something. It's worth your pride. It's worth that fear. It's worth it. It's worth pushing through. And I've never gotten off a call, even though every time I get on, I still have call reluctance. I'm still nervous. I have never gotten off of a call session and been like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Not once. Not once have I ever said I wish I wouldn't have done that. I'm glad I did it every time. It made me money every time, and I've seen success through that process every single time.
It's great that
So
you're mentioning that because, yeah, call reluctance is real. Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time. It still happens. It happens to me too. Like, I'm excited to make the calls, but at the same time, I get nervous and I'm like, how are they going to answer? What are they going to say? What objections are they going to throw at me? Am I ready? But, I
yes,
feel that once you've been in the business for a while, or even if you're just starting out, if you're putting in the work with practicing your skills and objection handlers, even though you had that reluctance to make the call, you should be
yes,
excited because I know for me, it's like I almost have like a swagger smile, like I'm ready for any objection that might come my
yeah.
way because I know how to answer it.
Well, they say that call reluctance, the fear and excitement are the same emotion, right? You
Yeah.
just attach a different meaning to it. So the
Mhm.
feeling of fear and the feeling of excitement are the same emotions. But what we do in our head is we attach a negative versus a positive to it. So if we can have that same emotion, but attach a positive to it, then getting on the phones is much easier and it reduces the call reluctance. The other thing, too, when I first started was it would take me 100 contacts to set one appointment. I was terrible. And just for anybody listening, that's terrible. It's terrible. Okay. Every master was once a disaster. Okay. Every single master in this industry, in any industry, was once a disaster. And that is disastrous. And it's okay to start out as a disaster. It's okay for it to take 100 contacts to set one appointment. Everybody, that's all right. It's okay for you to do that. What's not okay is you quitting. What's not okay is not learning the skills. That's not okay. All right. You're not going to feed your family unless you learn the skills. But then once you have those skills, what do they say? Like, you could be the most educated person on the planet. You could have all the information in the world. You could know everything. But unless you take massive action, you will not have a result.
Mhm.
And so if you take those skills and the massive action, then you'll get the result of prosperity, income, amazing clients, amazing business, people who love you and trust you, who want to work with you, and ultimately a thriving business. And so after a while, I just started doing these scripts and these dialogues and learning them. And I had to change them up, right? Because some of the scripts just didn't work for me. And so I had to adjust and change. I've rewritten my entire script system throughout time. So I have my own script book, my own, dialogue that I use. And what I also did is I simplified, because I remember the first script book I went into, it had like 4 or 5 scripts for sale by owners. And then it had like 4 or 5 scripts for expireds. And then it had like all these other scripts, right, for different scenarios, call arounds and farming and all this stuff, right? I'm like, how do I simplify? I can't memorize 4 or 5 scripts. And so what I did is I took the for sale by owner script, I took the expired script, and I merged them. And then I changed them and made them the most effective. I used the most effective dialogue. I used the most effective outcomes, the phrases that I used that people responded to on the highest level. And then I had a result. And then I went from 100 contacts, then I went down to 70. And I was like, yeah, only 70 this time. And I set my appointment, And what I learned was, it is kind of a numbers game, especially when you're starting out. But actually, and in actuality, it's a skills game, because you're learning the skills as you're going through the numbers. The best practice is role play with real people, not pretend people. Like, we can role play. We have these awesome role play groups and stuff, which you should do, but it's not the best practice. The best practice is jumping on your dialer, jumping on your Vulcan7 dialer, and pushing that go button and listening to those numbers dial, and having people pick up the phone and use those people as your role play partners. That's the best scenario you can possibly have. It is a gift to have like a Vulcan7 with your data, all your information, all their information, and you're dialing with real people. You're prospecting you're practicing with real people. And then you get real results. That's what's really cool.
Mhm.
That's the difference. You get real results. And so then now my dials, here's a good example. The other day I was sitting by a lake out here in Florida, and I pulled up my Vulcan7. I'm sitting on a park bench watching people jog by. And I love the system. I love Vulcan7 because the tech, the data, the information, I could do it all right there on my laptop or on my iPad. And I, have the system on my phone. It is so cool. It's so streamlined. And I'm literally sitting on a park bench prospecting, making calls. I made 9 contacts, and I set 7 appointments out of 9 contacts. And so people are like, wait, that's like an 80 or 90%, ratio. It is.
Yeah.
So that's proof that it's a skills game. It's proof that you can go from being a disaster to literally being a master.
Mm-hmm.
From, setting 1 appointment out of every 100 people you talk to setting hundreds of appointments out of every, couple hundred people that you talk to. And so it is a skills game.
So for someone that's watching that maybe they're thinking, you know what, I want to get to that level where I'm setting 9 out of 10 or 12 appointments. Like, what did your routine look like to get to that point of you
Great
like
question.
working on your skills and role playing? Can you kind of just break that down?
Yeah. So number 1 greatest tool is consistency. Okay. So you have got to carve out time every day that you do this. I don't care if it's in the morning, don't care if it's in the afternoon, don't care if it's in the evening. Guess what? I have people answer their phone, because everybody has cell phones. I have people answer their phone. Every part of the day. Some people love to prospect in the mornings. Some people love to prospect in the afternoon. Some people prospect in the evenings. I don't care when it is. People will answer their phones, especially with the Vulcan7 system. The data is fantastic. It's clean. It's accurate information. So when you push go, you know you're getting people that are real, that have real properties, that type of thing. And so get on the phone, carve out that time, have a calendar set where every day you're prospecting, and create consistency. It's your greatest tool. Second, remember to have a notepad with you, what you screwed up on. Okay, this is. I still do this today. I still have my script book, even though I memorized it. I wrote the dang thing. I still have it with me because I don't care who you are. You can get distracted. I don't care what happened. Like the other day, I'm prospecting my beautiful daughter. I'm in my gazebo by my pool, and my beautiful daughter brings me out a burrito, to eat, because she sees me out there at 8:00 p.m. prospecting to meet my minimum standard for the week. And this is last night. And as she's coming out, I'm like, oh, thanks. But I'm on the phone, and I lost my train of thought with this client, but I had my script book. So I was able to go right back to my script and get right back in line with what I was talking about. And so whatever your distractions are, dog barking, neighbor knocking on the door, whatever it is. So make sure you have your script book and then dial out that time. And then I would say, make sure that you have a conversation with, if you have a significant other, if you have a partner, get them to be on board with you, get them to be on track with you, help them help you carve out the time and be accountable to your daily schedule. You must be disciplined and accountable to your daily schedule. Now, also with that, I have an accountability partner. Okay, I have a coach. He's an amazing, his name's John Hunter. He's out of North Carolina. Incredible coach. I have a coach. He's my accountability partner. He's my coach. Get a coach, have a mentor. Everybody should have one. Coaches should have coaches, if you know what I mean. And if you do those things, you'll be solid. Also, I almost forgot one of the most important things. When you're doing this stuff, wake up, get dressed, get ready for the day, get ready to have business. Because when you're making these calls, sometimes you get somebody that's like, oh, you know what? I was just thinking about signing an agreement with this other agent. I really like you. Can you come over today? You want to be ready. Let's go. Let's get on. That's what it's about. It's being at their home. It's one thing setting appointments. It's a whole nother thing being ready to go take those appointments. Have your listing appointment sheets ready. I have listing appointment sheets that I write all the data down. What I really like is the Vulcan7 system, because I could keep all the data organized in the system, which, if nobody knows, I am new to this system and it is blowing my mind, because I was with this other system for 15 years or 18 years. And this system, Vulcan7, blows my mind. Everything I need and want is on that system. Calendar, date, appointment systems. It will drop all my appointments on my wife's calendar, so she can see what I'm doing. I can keep track of all of my clients, where they're at. It's a full CRM for your entire network, and it's an entire dialing system. It's just like the coolest system. Anyways, so have the resources that you need and get on the phone. Consistency is your greatest tool. Stay disciplined and accountable to your daily schedule, and have somebody coaching you.
That's awesome. I love the piece that you mentioned about being ready, like dressing up, because nowadays, a lot of agents work from home, and I've seen them where they just kind of get out of bed. They just, they're still in their pajamas, phone calls. And I'm like, I even say,
I have to admit something. I am wearing my Crocs.
at least everything else, you're ready to go. If someone says, hey, I'm ready to list right now. Can you come this afternoon?
Yeah.
You're ready.
I can just slip in my shoes and I'm out the door. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I even say, ladies, make sure you actually get ready in the morning, have your hair, your makeup ready, because I know for me personally, when I'm ready, I feel even more confident making the calls, because I want to set that appointment because I'm ready to go get that listing. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Let me ask you this, because you bring that up. What does that do for you? Because is this a mental game more than almost anything?
Yeah,
it is,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you're looking in the mirror and you look like a schlep, you look like a scum to yourself, how are you going to feel to yourself? So like, just like you said, get dressed, get your stuff together, make sure you look good, and get ready to rock the day. And that's, I mean, man, if you have to wake up another hour early, get to bed
Mhm.
earlier, make it a priority to get up out of bed, get yourself ready, and get ready to rock that day.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to have a mirror in front of me. So I have it here.
Mm,
And what I do is like, if I'm ready, I'm like, okay, would I hire myself? Absolutely. Right now, I'm ready to go. I have my contracts, I have everything. But if I'm not looking my best, I'm like, would someone hire me right now if they saw me how I
wow.
look? They
Yeah.
probably be like, this girl know what she's doing. Probably not, even if I do. So it just kind of
Yeah.
goes back to, yeah, I think it's kind of like you dress for the part that you want to play. So if you want to be that top producer, be taken seriously, then I'm always ready. You never
Yes.
know. I'd rather be ready
Absolutely.
and then have to change and be like, okay, I didn't set an appointment today, but I was ready. If somebody called me, Lloyd is like knocking on your door like an hour
Yep.
later type of thing.
Yeah, you're not vain. It's a business practice, right? You just want to look good. Yeah. And it's
Yes,
a gift. It's
exactly.
a gift. I made a video about this one time and I said, by looking good, you're gifting your clients.
Hmm.
And people are like, wait, gift? What that means is you're giving them the gift of yourself at your best. You're giving them the gift of yourself at your most capable and at your most ready position. Anything less than that will be subpar and you'll get subpar results. You want to list higher end homes? Be your best. And
Hmm.
also, okay, this is the truth that I've learned in this industry. And maybe it's just like maybe this is one of my limiting beliefs, but one of my limiting beliefs is that higher end homes are easier to work with. But it's
Yeah.
for my business, it's true. Every
Hmm.
time I go for a higher end client, they're up over, 6, 8, a million, a couple $1 million, $3 million, 4 million, whatever it is. Those clients, in my opinion, are easier to work with because they make great decisions, right? They make great decisions. So don't be afraid of calling those people. Also, they're great conversationalists. Like people that are financially stable usually have done a lot of business deals and had a lot of conversations. So they're great to talk to. They're not smug. They're not idiots. They're not rude. If they are rude, that's because they're in a tremendous amount of pain. They're going through something, whether it's in their relationship, it's in their business, they had a loss, they had a family member die, whatever. And that's across the board with humanity. But you got to give them grace in that scenario. But for the most part, what I've seen is that higher end homes are easier to work with. Higher end clients are funner to work with. They make great decisions. They love relationships. And so, guys, don't hesitate. Like, of course, you have to have some of those lower end properties because those ones sell pretty quick usually, right? But don't be afraid of those higher end properties. Like, start calling them, start having conversations with them. They'll love you. They love the struggle. They love the challenge of going from, zero to hero, going from broke to millionaire. They love that.
Hmm.
And some of them have done it multiple times.
Yeah. And let's say any agent that decides to go for that higher price range, you know what? Congratulations, you just gave yourself a pay raise.
That's right.
You
Yep,
know?
exactly. Yeah,
So
and that's the
that
thing.
should motivate you.
Yeah, I have my parameters set high on my dialer. When I'm on those numbers and I all my feed and all my information, man, I want those parameters high because that's what I want to do business in. That's where I want to do business in. Now, if I need some more meat potatoes, I'll start calling some lower end properties. But really, I really do like those high end properties. Like you said, you give yourself a raise, people are still buying, people are still selling. Also, a lot of those higher end properties, they're cash deals. They close
Mhm.
quick. So it's
Exactly.
good money. So
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up, I know that before we started, you had mentioned about setting 20 for sale by owner appointments in one day. So I want you to share that story because, first of all, for sale by owners, a lot of agents are afraid to go after that lead source. So tell us how that all happened.
So it was an interesting day. So I was driving down the road one day and I was just at this point in my business where I had reached this plateau. I had mastered almost everything. I felt like I could do everything really well. I could set 2 appointments a day really easily. And I was very consistent. And I'm listening to Grant Cardone's book, right? Our local Floridian real estate guy over here, sales guy. He wasn't even doing much real estate at that time. But anyways, he did that. He wrote this book called 10X Rule. I'm reading 10X Rule or listening to it, right? And I can read now, by the way, but I was listening to it in my car. And I'm like, he said, he said, what would it look like if you really did 10x your business? What would it look like if you took everything that you do today and just 10 times did? Just in one day. What if that one day you took those activities, you 10x'd it, and you stacked the wood pile so high that when winter came, you had plenty of wood and you never even worried about it? Like, man, what would it look like? For me, I was setting consistently 2 appointments a day at that time. I said I would have to do 20 appointments to 10x my business in one day. And I'm like, can I do it? Man, yeah, I can. I could do that. And then I'm like, wait, but what if I did it without using a dialer? What if I did it the worst way possible by actually hand dialing each number, right? We have the gift in this system in Vulcan 7 to be able to push a button, and the numbers are dialed automatically, right? What if I did it the most primitive way possible and I hand dialed using paper leads that I printed off my computer? I'm gonna do it. And so I called my wife. I said, hey, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'm making my first call. I'm calling for sell by owners, and it was expired if I needed to, but I had such a huge for sell by owner list. I'm calling for sell by owners. I jumped on there and I told everybody online. I told everybody on the internets. I told everybody on the webs. I'm setting 20 appointments in one day with for sell by owners, and it went mini viral. There were thousands of people who joined me that day from all over the country. Real estate agents everywhere were sharing this information. Now it's hard to get that kind of attention. This is probably 6 years ago. But it was the most primitive information, the most primitive method. And I got on there, and from 9 a.m., and I had a 1 hour lunch in between to 9 p.m., I set 20 appointments that day with for sell by owners live on Facebook, Instagram, and people were blown out of their minds. I should probably do 50 now that I have Vulcan 7, and really, I'm like, could I do 50? Could I do 100? Could 100 be a thing, right? What about just doubling it? What if 40? What if I did 40? So I'm thinking these ideas. I have these ideas of what I could do next, because hand dialing takes so much time. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to prove that without a doubt, you can have the most primitive hand dialed phone, not my cell phone. I was hand dialing an office phone. I was using paper leads, and I made those calls, and I set 20 appointments, almost right at 9 p.m.
Wow.
Was my 20th call. And I hung up the phone, and I went flush, and I was so excited. And it's all recorded. Nobody can deny it. It's all real. It's live on my on my Facebook. You can actually still go watch it. And so when people try to call the BS on it, I'm like, no, just go look. It's all there. There's 11 hours of live content, all just dialing. Go for it. And I called. I can't remember how many I called, but I know I contacted 45. I only made 45 contacts. 45 contacts, and I set 20 appointments. It was crazy numbers. Yeah. But if you keep that consistency and you go through it, and you're in the mode, and you're in the mood, and you're in the, you got your freaking stuff together, you can actually make it happen. And man, that changed my business. I had people calling me from all over the nation. I had brokerages inviting me to come visit them. I flew straight out to North Carolina a couple weeks later, trained this real estate brokerage out there called High Performance Real Estate Advisors. Completely changed the way they did business. They were setting 2 to 3 appointments a day on their 12-person team. Now they still accredit me for this. And you can still contact High Performance Real Estate Advisors in North Carolina, and they'll accredit me for this. But they still set about 10 to 12 appointments a day. And it changed the entire functionality of the way they did business. And it's been awesome ever since. I just really loved the whole process of meeting with agents and just helping them do the same thing, or companies or brokerages. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
doing brokerage trainings. I love going out to companies. I've had people fly me out all over the nation and teach their brokerage for 2 days and have a little, mini seminar for. I only want to do about 4 to 5 hours a day. Otherwise, people get burnt, right?
Yeah.
With content. So you really only want to do 4 to 5 hours a day max, sometimes 3 hours a day, just depending on the brokerage. But I'll come out and it's really fun, and I'll sit down. I'll just have these like call sessions. I'll do live calls. I've done live calls in front of not thousands, but hundreds of people, right? I've done live calls in front of thousands online, but when you do a whole crowd of 300-400 people, that's wild. And I'm
Yeah, they're
making calls.
looking at you.
Yeah, they're looking
What are
at
they
me, and
gonna say?
I'm holding my phone up, and I'm setting appointments live in front of them. It's fun. It's a blast.
That's
So
so awesome. So
yeah, it's
that
pretty
day that
cool.
you called for like 9 hours, what do you think was like the biggest lesson that you learned if something stuck out to you?
The biggest lesson I learned is that these people are not as scary as I make them out to be. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, it really is. They're not as scary as we make them out to be. Don't be so reluctant to talk to people. They're just like you and I. Also, what I learned is the more human you talk to them, the more you act like you know them, the more you treat them with love, respect, kindness, gratitude. You're grateful for the call. Every time somebody says no, you hang up and you feel grateful that you're a little bit closer to helping the family that really needs you next. Gratitude is like the most important thing in my opinion. If you can have
Absolutely.
gratitude for whatever your scenario is, because it's hard sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes we are struggling. Sometimes we're challenged. Sometimes our bills are backed up and blocked up. Sometimes we're in a bad relationship. Sometimes our kids are in hospital. I've had all these scenarios, and it's like, if you can just have gratitude for the people who do love you, for the moments that you have with yourself, where you give yourself love and you give yourself acceptance and you give yourself grace, then it enables you to give those people love, acceptance, and grace when you're on the phone with them. And ultimately, that's really what brings you the most success. Some people look at this and like, oh, I'm a shrewd business guy. I'm going to go
Yeah.
grind and break and make it happen and convince people, right?
No.
That's not how you do it. Like, showing people love, respect, and
Mhm.
attention is where you get the greatest rewards in this business, and really where your business can flourish and be fruitful.
Absolutely. So, as we wrap this up, tell everyone about your coaching, any programs that you have, any things you have happening, and how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. So you can actually text me. Which is on my Facebook. You can go to Clozer Cult with my name here, right? My banner here on the screen. So Clozer Cult on Instagram. And here's one thing, guys. If anybody wants my script, I give it out for free. No obligation. Just hit me up on Instagram at Clozer Cult and send me your email. And then I'll just send you my script and a video how to use the script and my objection handler paper too. There's only 2 documents I have. I don't have a book that's 17 pages. That I have 2 documents that I use to run my entire business. It's a script and it's an objection handler. That's it. And that will help you for sell by owners and expireds. It simplifies the entire process. You can memorize the heck out of it. You can use it. It sounds different with everybody. And it's perfect. So yeah, hit me up, Clozer Cult Alpha on YouTube. Go jump on my YouTube channel, join my YouTube channel, follow me there. I have thousands of hours. I also have a podcast called Clozer Cult Podcast, where I interview amazing people from all over the industry. And I just moved to Florida, so I'm going to be starting to interview people here in Florida. And then I have an awesome online system where I'm going to be starting to interview people kind of like this too, virtually. So yeah, watch and listen and hop on, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited for the
Awesome.
new chapter of Florida in my life.
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited too. What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Orlando.
Okay. Nice. I'm in
Yeah.
South Florida. I'm in Miami. So, we're not that far.
Nice. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll be in Miami in a couple weeks. So
Nice.
it's exciting. And that's the other thing too, guys. Like, if you learn these skills, you can be dropped into any city in the United States. You can be dropped into any environment. You could parachute in to any town and be able to pick up the phone, make calls, and set appointments if you have these skills. So learn these skills. And I have people that have gone on to be, learn these skills and gone on to be successful in the car business, mortgage business, all kinds of industries and use these skills still to this day and still say, dude, thank you for teaching me that. Thank you for sharing me that. I still use this in my business. I run my lawn care company, whatever it is, door-to-door sales. If you use these skills and of guiding people and persuading people, then you'll have amazing success in whatever you're doing.
Exactly. Yes. So we're going to make sure to put all of your links in the description box below
Okay.
as well. But Alma, thank you so much for, we went on almost over half an hour. I think we could probably keep on going because there's so
we
much to talk about.
we could, yeah.
We might need to do like a part 2 and then a 3, and then we'll just keep on going. But
Well,
thank you
stay
so
tuned.
much for coming
I am
on
gonna
here.
do I am gonna do a mastermind with Vulcan7. So stay tuned, and I'll start
Yes.
inviting people to that. They can hop on, and we can really get into it. That's the fun stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you so much once again for coming on and doing this. And for everyone that's watching, we'll see you on the next one.
All right. See you
Bye.
next time. Bye.